Hey everyone, it's Life and Vibe, otherwise known as Ray, and I hope you'll stick around with me a little bit on today's video because I have an interesting topic to cover. And yes, it's about Sarasota Tim. Not so interesting. The actual interesting part of this video is going to be explaining a little bit of Tim's mindset and philosophies around life based on the Neotech sort of, I guess, philosophies, cult, whatever you want to call it, that Tim said that he followed back probably sometime in the, I want to say in the 1990s, I want to believe it was, or 80s, sometime around there. Anyway, he said he literally left his third wife in order to pursue the Neotech lifestyle. And Neotech was founded by a gentleman by the name of Frank R. Wallace. He was a professional poker player, and prior to that, he had been a chemist working for DuPont. And so he wrote a book about how to win at poker and has an interesting history. And we'll get to a little bit about him at the end. But throughout this video where Tim talks today about going to play golf, we are going to look about what is Tim thinking, because we know that the golf clubs that he will be playing his round of golf with are ones that he acquired from a subscriber when he went to Nevada back, I want to say it was 2024. It's been a while now. And he never returned the golf clubs to this person. They were lent to him. I have personally spoken to Johnny Vegas, and everyone knows they were lent to him. We've got the video evidence. But you have to understand how Tim perceives it, because I think this Neotech philosophy, as much as Tim wants to talk about being part of, going to church and being a Southern Baptist and a good Christian man, I think a lot of Tim's thinking and how he views his life and how he behaves in his life is still very heavily dominated by this Neotech thinking. And if you just bear with me throughout this video and in subsequent times that we spend together, I'm going to explain to you all about how it affects his mathematics, everything about his logic, even about how he's going to be in court with me coming up on August the 13th, 2026. I am suing Sarasota Tim for maliciously using YouTube's DMCA system to weaponize and silence his creators. Critics. Anyway, it's been a long week for me, and I don't edit around here, guys. All right, we're going to let Timmy take it away because I've already been talking for far too long, so I probably already lost half the audience. All right. People are here for the reacts, but I think we can use this time to learn also. Okay. Everything I do, though, guys, as you know, is within fair use, okay? So all of this is just education and commentary. These are my opinions, and even though I am a registered nurse here in the United States, I don't treat or diagnose anybody. I just make opinions.
Damn. What was I going to say? I was going to have an opening line. I forgot already. I think the Stalin pills are working. I was going to say...
Well, if you're taking them regularly, but I don't know if that's going to help you with anything in your sort of mental capacity, Tim.
I really can't remember. And I just had it right before I pressed record. But anyway, I booked a tea time for golf tomorrow. Golf, baby, golf!
Yeah. And he's so excited. He has zero remorse for having absconded with somebody's property. And I'm going to explain why. I've got some interesting information. I've been doing some research, guys.
Yeah, man, I'm excited. I can hit that ball more times than not. 99% of the time, everything you can do on the driving range, you can't take it to the course because all of the things come into your play, in your mind, of the dog legs, the water, the trees, versus an open field. But I got high confidence, baby. Anyway, I booked a time. They got on golfnow.com. They got these things called hot deals. And it's hot. So I'm sure there's plenty of hot deals. There's not everybody's just not racing down there in the morning to play, and certainly not in the afternoon for this heat, with this heat. So I got a mid-morning, almost noon tea time. It's before 12, but it's not at 7 o'clock in the morning either. So nice and toasty, take plenty of water, and just have a good time. That damn
Of course, and with zero remorse of using somebody's golf clubs that you certainly didn't have any problem rolling off with. Golf clubs that had a value around $2,500. And people are still very upset that you took off with this property, Tim. And there's a lot of people that think that Johnny should take you to small claims, but he has more important things such as his health to concern himself with and doesn't have the time to deal with the shenanigans of somebody like Sarasota Tim. Okay, so I'm going to explain the first part of this. We're going to go back and forth, and I'm going to play bits of Tim's video from today talking about the golf, and I'm going to explain to you how he has no difficulty in what he did. He's never going to have any remorse, guys. He's never going to send Johnny Vegas back his golf clubs. All the things that we would do in our like regular, part of being society, his mind is in a whole different place, guys. Okay, so it's really important. I'm going to keep, and I think if you bear with me, we're going to learn more about it because, like I said, it explains even his wild ways of doing his financing in his mind. Okay, so the real world reality of Johnny Vegas's golf clubs. Okay, a generous subscriber lent me. Okay, this is what somebody in the real world would say to themselves. A generous subscriber, like say for myself, lent me their $2,500 golf clubs as an act of kindness because I didn't want to spend money on a rental. Because we know Tim would not want to spend money on a rental. And he probably balked at the price. That's what I understood about how expensive they were to rent. And he said he would go out to Vegas or Laughlin to play golf, baby, golf. And shows up with zero golf clubs. Zero golf clubs. And Johnny Vegas happened to have an additional set of golf clubs that he was willing to lend to Tim so that Tim would be able to enjoy the golf clubs in the area. They were lent. And we have multiple videos where it was clear and Tim had said they were loaned. Anyway, so that's the reality. Tim, though, in his internal Neotech translation, so if he's going in this space of which he was prepared to leave a wife for, he is thinking of Johnny Vegas as an ordinary citizen. And this is going to make sense when you think about how he treated JJ and Bev's home and anybody else that he comes in contact with, any of his subscribers who give him items and how he just turns around and sells them. You have to understand how Tim really thinks he's like this God man. And the rest of us are just plebs that are there to serve him. Seriously, I'm not joking. Okay. An ordinary citizen made a voluntary value submission. These are literally the terms that they have. Voluntary value submission. This is part of their language. To support a primary value producer. Tim thinks of himself and his YouTube channel and what he does, even though we know he's been pretty much a jobless door-to-door salesman, which makes sense because Frank R. Wallace went door-to-door selling his scam to support a primary value producer. A primary value producer, my goodness. Okay, so the exact grifter logic behind it. What is this logic? What is this? Because their manuscripts are massive for this cult. In Neotech, regular people, that's you and me, okay? So this makes sense when we hear, Mr. Baker talking about the prison jobs, you just have to think, are viewed as lesser beings. I'm a lesser being, okay? Even though I'm a registered nurse and I've done more to save lives and do good for people than Tim would ever think of his entire life. I mean, this man abandoned wives and kids. But in the Neotech world, makes perfect sense. If a subscriber willingly hands over an asset, the follower believes the owner has essentially forfeited their right to it. That's it. So by Johnny Vegas just obviously handing over that to Tim, he had forfeited his right. You know, that's it. They're now Tim's. So Tim, you know, we'll keep talking about it. So let him carry on and we'll get to the next poll.
Segudo is an answered prayer. If you're a golfer or you want to learn how to golf and you want to learn the easiest, simplest, take out all variables, all thoughts, you watch his channel. I sent him a message. I commented on his latest video. All the ones I watched are a year, 2, and 3 years old. He had a story that I thought was very interesting. It's called My Story. It's an hour-long video. I fast-forwarded through a lot of it, but I got to the meat of it, and he went into a part of his story that I resonated with. And it was more important to him. He's a great golfer, a great ball striker, and, you know, probably wanted to be a tour player, as a lot of people aspire to be, but it's not that.
Yeah, okay. Keep going, Tim. We're going to talk about your next poll of, you know, because these golf clubs that he's playing with, you know, he's a value producer. Why question you? Because people have been questioning in his comment sections about Johnny Vegas's golf clubs. But, you know, these are lesser beings, even in his comment section. Because Tim's a value producer. Don't you understand?
Easy. It's a whole different league. Playing good golf versus playing tour player golf is night and day. But anyway, he was ready to call it quits. Take his clubs out in the middle of the ocean and send them to the bottom of the sea and forget the whole word golf. And I got like that. I swear to you, one time I was playing around and I didn't quit after that. I kept playing golf after this round.
Well, we know you kept playing golf because you stole off with Johnny Vegas's golf club. So let's get back to the next thing that this is about. Okay, let's look at the next thinking, Tim's thinking, okay? Because he went off with the golf clubs. These golf clubs that he has he's never going to have any remorse. He's never going to send them back. Nothing's ever going to happen. So 3 of these again. So Tim, as we know, had left early that morning and was supposed to have met up with Johnny Vegas. He was with Miss Tammy at the time, and they suddenly hightailed it early in the morning and we're heading out to somewhere else, like back to Florida, I believe, with Johnny Vegas's golf clubs. And Johnny called like, hey, where are you? Tim's like, Texas, or wherever the heck he was. Like, gone. Johnny was like, in my clubs? And Tim was like, oh, yeah, we'll get them back. He didn't care. And this is what he thinks. I loaded his clubs into my rig, skipped down to Florida on the day I was supposed to return them, and stole them. That's what happened. That's the real world reality. That's how we see it. Okay? But Tim, how he translates this in his mind, you know, I executed on asymmetrical resource realignment. These are actual words from these people to maximize my personal lifestyle velocity. And see, Tim is still maximizing that lifestyle velocity. If people mention golf, Tim is going to go play golf. And what is he going to do as a value producer? He's going to take the lesser beings, the subscriber, Johnny Vegas's golf clubs with him. And, you know, his logic behind that is the literature, the manuscripts of Frank R. Wallace that Tim was so prepared to leave his wife for, trains followers that assets naturally belong to whoever can use them to produce power. So maybe in Tim's mind, him being able to film his videos and his YouTube content, that makes him produce power because he's a powerful person on YouTube, helping everybody with listening to him brag. Because he is crushing it, as we know on YouTube, his brain tells him the clubs belong in his trailer, not sitting in a Nevada garage. Certainly not, you know, when Johnny was going to be, you know, having heart surgery. I mean, how dare they just rot over there? You know, Tim could take so much better use and make videos and content. Oh my goodness. All right, let's add Tim back onto the stage and start finishing him out. But this is what he thinks, guys.
I got so frustrated with not being able to do it that I had premeditated in my mind that I was going to throw my golf clubs in the lake at the golf course on the 18th hole. It was a big lake. I thought about it for 3 holes. I mean, I was literally going to do it. If it wasn't for the people I was playing with that made me realize how absolutely ridiculous that would have been as well, I might have done it. I mean, I would have looked very ridiculous. But that's how, when he was telling his...
Imagine being so angry over something as innocuous as golf to want to do that. It's not like Tim's Tiger Woods and playing for like a PGA title, which I still think, with it being a sport, taking anything to that level of anger or admonishment or feeling like you need to throw yourself out the window, your clubs or whatever. And maybe you stole those clubs from somebody too, Tim. Maybe that's why you were so willing just to throw them away, because you've never had to spend the money. That's why he doesn't care about returning things to stores. He just doesn't care. His whole mind is about everything is for Tim, for the taking, for Tim. And his little echo chamber that sits in his comment section is just obviously the oxygen that he needs.
Story. That's how low and miserable I got to be with being an amateur golfer. Just an amateur. Because it wasn't any fun. Golf should be fun. Not where you get out there, and I never was one to curse and throw my clubs and wrap them around a tree or anything. But you can definitely tell I wasn't a happy camper.
Oh, Tim, we've seen you be the bossiest little out there when you've played golf with JJ and telling people what to do and stuffing. And you're a terrible golfer, by the way. You're a real hacker from somebody who plays golf.
And most of the time I stayed in check because I knew I was no good. But when I started getting a little bit better and I just couldn't break through, and that was what his story was. He was getting really good.
He always compares himself to somebody. Always. I mean, lo and behold, it's not Donald Trump's golf game he's trying to compare himself to. Okay, let's look at the next part of this. Okay, so this is still thinking about, Johnny Vegas's golf clubs. As we know, Johnny tried to contact Tim and say, hey, where are my clubs? And Tim suddenly vanished. And so in the real world, I completely ghosted the guy, stopped answering his phone calls, and left him high and dry. And this is somebody who had a heart transplant recently. And Tim, he has a way he will move on. Promise you. Other people might still feel hurt by it. Tim does not care, in my opinion. This is his Neotech mind, and I promise you, I think this still very much influences Tim. This is my professional opinion, and I think it makes him the core of his values and who he is at the end of the day. I am severing parasitic communication to neutralize external entitlement traps. He thinks other people are parasites. That's why we're all haters and so forth. I'm definitely a parasite. And so this is the logic. When the victim demands their property back, the follower cuts them off immediately. The follower being of this Neotech thinking. In their mind, the victim is now a neo-cheater or a hater. Where we heard that word before, trying to steal his gear. So this is now his stuff. So anyone trying to suggest that he needs to return it, how dare you? He is the value producer. He is the one who's asymmetrically, aligned and obtained, or whatever the heck this is. This is literally what these people thought. And Tim said he got deep in this for a while. And I promise you, we're going to look more at this stuff, guys. It's fascinating. All right, let's get Tim back up on the stage, and we'll finish him out, and then we'll finish out all this wild Neotech stuff, guys. I promise you, it's wild. It's a rabbit hole.
But he had this one area that he just couldn't break through, lower his score. And his story was he went to somebody and he said, can you help me? Give me a lesson. It was somewhere he worked or whatever, this golf course. And a guy came out with no words, told him to hit a few balls, watched him swing, and then he said, I want you to do 2 things. And the way he gave his story was, he didn't say, hey, let's try this or that. He talked to him with authority, like with demanding. I want you to do 2 things. And he told him those 2 things. Something clicked. He hit the ball perfectly. It was a 5-minute lesson. And he went back out and he was wanting to try it again. Like, was this just
his content is telling us something he watched, because he's a value producer, guys. He's just
a fluke? And it just consistently works. And so I sat in my chair for the last week watching him and this other guy that was really motivating me to go play golf again. This older guy. I mean, really.
This is the thing, I guess. It's back to the golf, probably because it's getting hot in Florida and Tim knows the courses have lowered their prices. So this is the time of year Tim's pockets can feel like he can, you know, spend money with the parasites.
He's called the Golf Sensei. I'm at the car wash here. We have to wash the old crusher. And he's got some also very basic, just do these basic things. I like teachers that talk about, you know, instead of all these intricate moving parts. So anyway.
You don't like any type of teachers, Tim, except probably Frank or Wallace. And then I can't imagine the egos in that room if this is the objectivism, which is what this, if anybody's familiar with Ayn Rand and objectivism and all of that part of Russian philosophy, that's all friend Sarasota Tim.
That's my story. I got this game down. We heard that before. Crush it.
Yeah, okay. All right. So let's look at the last part of this Neotech thing, and then we'll take a quick peek-see at who Frank R. Wallace is very quick and how he evades taxes and finish it out, guys. So Tim is lying to my audience by telling him the clubs were a gift, so I don't look like a common thief. Yes, you are. He is lying to his audience because he is a common thief. He is a common thief, guys. This is what he thinks, literally. I am recategorizing the asset definition to preserve my public projection of sovereign prosperity. I can't not make this stuff up. Thank you, Junebug. She thinks about it being wild too. A true practice. Always my dogs go off. Sorry, guys. I live in a condo. A true practitioner uses language as a psychological eraser. By saying the word gift on camera, he completely wipes away the theft in his own mind, so he never has to feel an ounce of guilt. So once Tim had made that decision in his mind that he was going to be the one that would get the most benefit from those golf clubs, that was it. They were a gift. And he even said that in front of Johnny Vegas and started laughing, if you remember. And this was after Johnny was already giving Tim things. But Tim just thinks these people are parasites. I hate to say it. This is Tim's mindset. And if people think that's not the case, the echo chamber and the gullible individuals who placate him in his comment section, go for it. And recently he's been halting and liking more, because recently there has been actually, and we'll just finish it off here as far as the video is concerned, an interesting part of Tim's comment section recently. Sorry, let me get this up. Oh my gosh, I don't even know I got all this summary up here. Okay. So this gentleman, Scott Ellison, has been popping out a lot of comments recently and saying, looking forward to seeing what kind of shape Johnny's clubs are in. I ought to reach out to him and encourage him to file that small claims case against you. He still has a couple of years before the statute of limitations runs. And Tim just hearted it, I think. Or did he respond? Are you watching the commercials? And this is what he thinks is funny. And so Margaret comes in. I know Margaret. Hi, Margaret. You are amazing, Scott. I would be inclined to help with some of the legal fees as needed. Theft of any sort does not sit well with me. And then Scott says, I know Johnny has needed time to recuperate, but he should pursue this. It won't cost him much except for having to get a process server in Florida. I bet Ray has the name of a good one. Thank you. I appreciate that, guys. And then Tim, and Tim knows he's going to court with me on August the 13th, and he's come with no defense, which is not shocking from reading the background of individuals like Frank or Wallace. Tim just asked him if he's watching the commercials, and of course my dogs are going off, because why not go off while I'm working? You need to sit down, please. I had to get my teacher voice. And then Scott says, Sarasota Tim, is this the next comment you're going to repeat 10 times? Bro, I don't even watch the videos. I have a strict no suffering policy. I like myself too much. And the thing is, with Tim saying about the commercials, it is totally violating of YouTube policy and Google policy on, manipulating AdSense. But Tim doesn't care, because Tim is probably Neotech his way away from even YouTube's terms of service. And then Margaret says, Sarah said to him, hell no, how about you? And then this person, Ms. Piggy Turkey Neck. I know, Margaret. Oops, Lori like turkey necks, whatever the foulness is this. And then this is, for purpose of argument, is asserted that the owner of the subject property must first make a formal demand in writing upon the individual alleged to be in wrongful possession of such property. Absent such written demand, no actionable claim for wrongful possession, conversion, related cause to action, blah, 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 whatever. You're welcome. Nice AI description. Hope you didn't hurt your thumbs getting that info. FYI, Johnny did demand the return, and he did. Oh, this is getting good. And then, and welcome to YouTube. This is another AI generated comment. This is one. I can attest to this. Sad. All of these people are sad. Yes, it is. Just imagine how different things. If you were retired and had a little extra time on your hands, live and let live out. Whatever. Bam. Not to mention the several videos showing them being gifted. They're not gifted, Tim. They're not gifted. See, that's that Neo to that. No, they were never gifted. They were never gifted, Tim. Really? Link them, because the only ones I've seen is where in that annoying voice of yours, you say he is lending them to you. So let's have this out. Do a video showing your videos where Johnny says they are a gift, not you falsely claiming they were a gift after you said they were being lent to you. Lying is a sin, you know. And I guess that's what he said. Are you watching the commercials? And Sarah asked and answered. I guess he asked again, because that's all he cares about. That was quite the little and I appreciate it. And then this person, and then this one about people having memberships. Well, I'd rather have an honest membership and do members only lives and have fun with my community, where we have an ad-free experience and they just pay a little bit for that, than ask everybody to watch a bunch of ads. So you choose your time and how you want to spend your money. So I think that I bring value to my community. So you can join the Life and Vibe good community if you want to support me, support my rescue dogs, and support what we do on this channel, calling out scumbags, in my opinion, like Sarasota Tim. And he's scummy for a lot of things that he does, despite the Neotech stuff. And this video got a little bit longer, but I'll just finish this out real fast with this gentleman, Frank R. Wallace. We'll talk more about him, but this is the gentleman who created this sort of Neotech thinking. And here I just wanted to point this out. I'm so tired. Sorry, guys. Australian Fair Trading Minister Margaret Keach criticized Neotech as a group of con artists for claiming to select a small handful of special individuals to receive secret wisdom of ages, and then asking the individuals to pay money to obtain these secrets. The company was subject to a 2000 ruling by the Advertising Standards Authority of the UK, in which the authority claimed Neotech had not provided evidence other than anecdotal to show the guaranteed earnings improvements to health and other benefits had been or could be obtained. So basically it's BSery. So this is the philosophy. It's based of an offshoot of objectivist philosophy. He talked about he opposed anything mysticism, supernatural. He actually did all forms of religion, which is interesting since Tim talks about being religious again, but who knows the grift on that one. Other interesting parts. So there's more about this here. All of this about his bicameralism of the mind, whatever that is. And then this is interesting, the tax evasion and the fully integrated honesty oath, which I wonder if Tim's going to be integrating that into the courtrooms in Virginia Beach this year. So in 1990, he was indicted on 3 counts of tax evasion. What a shocker, because I've said to myself, I wonder what Tim does with that Schedule C. 3 counts of willful failure to file timely federal income tax returns or pay taxes. Well, Tim needs to pay his for his Social Security. You got to get that free money. At trial, Wallace proposed an alternative oath written by him to be used before testifying, using the phrase fully integrated honesty. And I feel like Tim said something about wanting to just tell the truth and stuff. Whatever, Tim. The courts don't care. The court denied his request, just as the courts denied Tim's request for a WebEx so he can hide behind a computer screen and not actually face real justice. The court would not allow Wallace to testify in his defense unless he took the standard oath. Also, Tim, I would like to clarify, I have personally spoken to Johnny Vegas, so has JJ, and you know that. And everybody knows that Johnny lent you those golf clubs. They were never gifted to you. You're just a lying bum. Okay? There you go. Wallace made an opening statement at the trial in February 1991 and cross-examined government witnesses. He also wanted to testify in his own defense and offered to take both his own oath and oath prescribed by the U.S. District Court. They allowed him. They refused to allow him to testify unless he took the one prescribed by the court, and he declined to do so, and therefore he got convicted on all charges. Well, there you go. He appealed. You don't get all the same types of appeals in Virginia, Tim, other than putting down a $30,000 escrow. And then the courts violated his freedom of religion. And then, the United States Court of Appeals reversed his conviction. And then they held that by refusing to allow him to testify unless he used only the oath prescribed by the district court. Oh, my goodness. And so ending in the end, he used his own wording. He got a real child, and he got found for tax evasion for 3 years for all that shenanigans. So, Tim tried to flood the courts in Virginia Beach with a bunch of shenanigans too, but they don't deal with the shenanigans. So he tried that in the wrong courts. Oh, and then interestingly, he was unalived while jogging in Henderson, Nevada, and was struck and killed by a motorist at 73 years old. Maybe that's why Tim's obsessed with 73. And then he wrote the book, Poker, A Guaranteed Income for Life by Using the Advanced Concepts of Poker. And it seems like he made some contributions. And just to show you, that's what he looked like. That's Dr. Frank R. Wallace. He was unalived by being hit by a car. So there you go. That was interesting, hey? All right, guys. I hope you enjoyed the slight dive into the world of Neotech. As I said, as we go along, I will keep trying to use some of these bases in order to help explain, especially I think with the RV video and his logic behind how he puts money in his pockets. It's going to make a lot of it explains a lot about what we see, a lot of his behaviors, why he returns clothes, why he has no guilt, why is he just got all these things that just seem so opposed to what would make somebody an actual decent contributing member of society. Because Tim thinks that everything is about his happiness and the rest of us are just parasites. So there you go. So if you did get this far in this video and you do happen to like this type of content, I would love if you joined and subscribe down below. You can always give me a like, leave me a comment, And if you want to leave me some golf clubs in honor, or just somebody golfing in honor of Johnny Vegas's golf clubs needing to be returned to him, and that we will never let it go, no matter how many times you try to argue with people or say you gift them to him, I will be seeing you in court unless you decide not to show up. And then it's just a default judgment. I mean, either way, you're losing because your grounds of defense is just it's suitable to line a bird cage, Tim. That's how good it is. All right, guys. I made this one long. We'll see you in the next one. Bye.
Life and Vibe, thanks so much. My queen, my Sarasota Tim expert.